Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever part of the world you are, welcome to this webinar on how to win at ServiceNow's Now Intelligence. So welcome, grab your popcorn because most of you are probably at home. First, I'd like to allow the panelists to introduce themselves. Sue from Raymond James, please share a little bit about your background so folks can understand a little bit of the context of what we're going to be talking about today.
Sure, no problem. Thanks, Pedro. So I'm Sue Desiderio. I am currently the director at Raymond James for service enablement. My responsibilities include owning the ServiceNow platform, config management, asset management, request management, a lot of those core processes for IT. And I've really been working in the IT for IT space now for 20 plus years. So very passionate in this area. So looking forward to today's conversation.
Awesome. Thank you, Sue. Mitch, joining us from VividCharts, please tell our audience a little bit about yourself and your background.
Hey everybody, Mitch Stutler here, co-founder and CEO at VividCharts. My entire career has been in ServiceNow consulting and development, and I've had the pleasure of working with Pedro and Sue for some time now, and really excited for today. Really appreciate everybody joining here. It's gonna be a great presentation.
Thank you, Mitch. And my name is Pedro Soto with Westbury Analytics. I lead the team that provides all the consulting services in the Americas. And our charter is to help ServiceNow clients leverage, squeeze the most they can out of their Now Intelligence assets. So as we get started in a moment, we're going to jump into the agenda. I want to share a story that this is very recently I heard from Jeff Rumberg, CEO of MetricNet, a real thought leader in this whole KPI benchmarking space, who's now taking a keen interest in AI and machine learning because that's what Now Intelligence is about. So the story goes is this, and it helped me appreciate why AI is having finally such an explosive impact in the world of service management. So in the late 1980s, early 1990s, IBM was using a supercomputer it had created. It was called Deep Blue at the time. And one of their goals was to beat Garry Kasparov, who was the top chess master in the world at that time. They had hired, top-notch chess players, obviously computer programmers, all that stuff. And in fact, some of the top chess masters in the world at that time, and they could not get Deep Blue, this supercomputer, to beat Garry Kasparov until they realized that the limitation they were bumping up against is that they were taking all this human intelligence from all these other chess masters and chess pros and programming it into the computer, into Deep Blue, but it was rules driven and it was limited by the human intelligence that was being put into it. When they realized that, they set about and eventually reached the target of empowering or programming or configuring or doing whatever it is that they did so that Deep Blue could learn from itself, could learn from its data in the past, and therefore recognize patterns and cause and effect relationships from the mass data that was available to it. Once they did that in the late 1990s, around the 96, 97, they finally beat Garry Kasparov. Hence the dawn of true artificial intelligence and machine learning. I wanted to share that story because it had an impact on me on recognizing how AI is hitting the world of service management by storm. Because let's be honest, I was a bit skeptic about why this could really impact. I was starting to see some of the results in some of the ServiceNow clients, but I just really didn't understand what this was about. I think many ServiceNow users today have employed some use of automation, but it's rules driven and it has that limitation that it's human intelligence, not machine learning and artificial intelligence. So today, we're going to share with you sort of a complete story. What's the beginning of a complete story? How Sue is looking at some real interesting opportunities in her environment and what can be done if Now Intelligence is brought to bear upon it. So with that said, here's what the agenda consists of. Sue is going to, in a moment, tell us about her business case for bringing some automation and the power of Now Intelligence to bear on some interesting goals that she has. I will share from the Westbury Analytics perspective what a continuous improvement modeling, leveraging Now Intelligence looks like. And Mitch from VividCharts will wrap it up and tell us about a very key component of this whole journey with Now Intelligence and how advanced reporting plays a part in that. So Sue, take it away. Tell us a little bit about the origin story of what you're looking at, the vision and the baseline that you've chosen.
Okay, thanks, Pedro. So just to step back a little bit with our ServiceNow journey, we actually at Raymond James implemented ServiceNow in 2015. We started out with CMDB, which if anybody who talks to me, that's always where I'm passionate about. Start with CMDB. It is that center of your universe for everything else to be built upon. The core ITSM processes. So again, I think it's a common place. Many people start with your incident knowledge, service desk, service catalog, and also security operations. And we actually back then even had performance analytics to kind of start that data journey. At the time, we had all of those capabilities in another system. So a lot of this was lifting and shifting from that current system into ServiceNow. So we were a head start on having some of these data components. That's really where we started the ServiceNow journey. Since then, we virtually have the entire IT stack. So pretty much everything in IT operations management. We have Software Asset Management Pro. We're starting now to get into GRC, so policy and exception, vendor risk management. And the latest module we really implemented was ITBM, the business management suite with project, demand, portfolio management, all of that. And with all of this, we also really make sure that we stay current with the versions of ServiceNow so that we're always keeping up to date with all of the features that are coming out, which is allowing us to be ready for all of the machine learning, artificial intelligence, and things that ServiceNow keeps building into the platform. So that's kind of where we started. So along the journey with the ServiceNow platform, our first focus was really process improvements and efficiency savings. One of the big things that we did for just catalog items alone, because really catalog items represented our workflow of, how we make work easier, and we have it centralized and it's ticket and task-based and all of that. So we actually store in the system time savings per catalog item. And what this allowed us to do over time is really help with our cost justification of the platform, right? That anytime we would create a new catalog item, we would understand from the customer, what do they do today? How much time does that take? By putting that workflow in ServiceNow and using, having a central place for their customers, central place for the workers, and automation in places, how much time did that actually save? And it might be a minute, it might be much more significant than that, but we would actually then take that time savings per catalog item and multiply that out of how many times that catalog item was requested as a request item and really get some true efficiency savings, soft efficiency, but still efficiency savings on the platform. So that was kind of our first metric win, I would say. But from there, we really wanted to become more sophisticated. So we typically for incident, I think we're pretty common and we have this normal SLAs. We actually did track a quality metric for incident, which is if the customer was satisfied with the results when we said an incident was closed, if they actually felt it was closed. So we would give a customer like 3 days, kind of like, yes, it was closed to my expectation or not. And if they said no, that would actually be a quality hit for us. So on the catalog items, we wanted to do something similar to that. So we actually had pretty major project around request management where we worked with all of the owners of all the catalog items that we have in the environment. And we're over like 1,200 catalog items. So it was not a small effort to make sure we had valid owners of the catalog item that would really be the one, point of contact for the end-to-end delivery of whatever that catalog item or service was. We established service level objectives for all of those requests. And we also, like incident, put in a customer validation feedback loop, which would allow the customer, after the request was fulfilled, to have up to 3 days to say, yes, it's good, or no, it's not. If they didn't respond, we assumed it was good. So that really provided kind of the building blocks that we needed to kind of have all the data available. But then it was like, what do we do with all the data that we have to actually be, more meaningful and actually take action? So the effort that we really focused on more recently, and this is still a continuing journey, is, it's all about the customer experience and how well we're providing services to the customer. So we worked on developing some executive level dashboards and some operational dashboards. So the technical owners, if you would, of the catalog items and incidents could go to an operational dashboard, see how they were trending, see if they were close to breach on some of their SLAs, look at those quality metrics and see that real time. Whereas the executives, we created more of a trending dashboard to see how their organization was working over time. And what's been really successful in those areas is that we have consistent reporting for both the operational folks and the executives. It's the same pane of glass with different filters depending on who you are, but it's really allowing us to see where we're trending hot or where everything is good. And it's really giving us that kind of stepping stone for where are the areas that we need to focus for improvement. And what I appreciate about the approach we took is it's not out to crucify people because their numbers are looking bad. It's really about looking for where there's opportunities to improve. And, in some cases, even though it might be one technical manager's item that is having issues, it might be, based on, needing work from different IT areas to actually help fulfill that service. So it's really looking at where can we bring everybody together and work to improve and kind of keep going forward to make the end customer experience much more successful. We really want to get much more into the AI and machine learning aspects of ServiceNow. That's the area that's really kind of our next future focus, but it's kind of just where we are today. So Pedro, I will turn it back to you.
Excellent, Sue. Thank you very much. So those of you watching now or later on replay, what you'll observe in what Sue just shared with us is that there's a structure, there's a pattern there, that it's found in the right way to approach these projects, because it has a lot to do with what we have discovered as we meet with lots of clients and start talking about implementing Now Intelligence. And there are three key questions that really have to be answered in order to leverage this to its optimal. The first one is, what are my biggest opportunities? And that has to do with the analysis phase. And I think if you go back and look at what Sue shared with their journey in these, the CMDB or in the catalog projects, this was very clear that was what they were looking to do before they jumped in. Then they went in and they implemented. Now, as it relates to Now Intelligence, here's the interesting thing. So Now Intelligence service now consists of two major groups of things. AI, which machine learning and performance analytics. And then you have your virtual agent and you have all your machine learning solutions. The thing is that when you take it at all those big solutions, there are multiple components under each of those solutions that can be implemented in different ways. That's why it's really important to understand what is my approach for maximum return on investment. I'm actually going to share an example where that's illustrated. And then lastly, and this is why Mitch and his gang at VividCharts provide such tremendous value, is how do I know if it's making an impact, which is the monitoring part. And if you see Sue's recount of their journey till now, they looked at where their opportunities were. They went ahead and implemented in such a way that they could monitor their progress, right? And their cost savings, so they can justify additional investments. And that's really the three things you have to do really in any project, but here in machine learning and applied intelligence, as it relates to the Now Intelligence, it's really relevant so that you don't spend a lot of time going down wrong avenues to get to your maximum return on investment. So let me give you an example of what I mean. What's the approach for maximum return on investment? This is a real example from the field. This is not Sue's company at all. But we talk to somebody and say, I want to implement virtual agent, right? It's gotten a lot of press, a lot of marketing. It's the new shiny object. And so that's what we hear a lot. Okay, so let's look at what the reality of the data points to as the real potential in terms of what's the best way to implement it. So this particular client, large percentage, 85%, receives their incidents through email. They've applied some automation, but it's rules-driven, remember, so it has no capacity to learn from itself, to recognize patterns, to recognize cause and effect relationships. It's got rules that have helped to some degree up until now, but a fair chunk of that 85% channel is manually categorized, manually assigned. It has to be, right? So what does that mean? Well, when you have something in that, yes, you want to implement a virtual agent because that's going to help any environment become more effective, improve the customer experience, and reduce costs. But in a scenario like this one, that's actually a mid to long-term potential, because you think about it, most people are used to sending in emails. It's going to take a little time for them to transition, because that's behavior modification, to go from just sending an email to actually interfacing with a virtual agent. So that's the first thing. The second part is a pretty obvious one. If you could work on that email channel, that 85, 90% of volume coming in through email channel, and immediately impact that manual categorization, automate it using the power of the predictive intelligence tools like clustering, classification, similarity, you have an activation of return on your investment that's pretty much immediate, because within 2 to 3 weeks of you starting, you can have a predictive intelligence solution acting on that stuff. So what happens is you have a very quantifiable return on investment. Part of the tool set within the Now Intelligence solution is the ability to track what's happening and to monitor it. And it can be enhanced by the next generation reporting that Mitch's group does, and we're going to look at. The other thing is you got immediate impact on your business goals, right? Because if you have to cut costs, reduce manual intervention on tickets, improve customer experience, you can do all this by applying the AI and ML solutions within Now Intelligence with virtually zero process reengineering. And that's what's just blowing everybody's mind up. So that's the promise of Now Intelligence. And on a daily basis or weekly basis, ServiceNow clients who are either owners of Pro or Enterprise editions and have full access to these solutions are discovering. And we hope that if you're a Pro owner, an Enterprise owner, or you're contemplating upgrading to either of those two, this will motivate you to really take this Now Intelligence solution and grab onto it and squeeze it for everything it's got. If you are looking to do that, I want to share with you the model that we use to implement Now Intelligence. And it starts with a client's business cases. So Sue and Sue share, typically a client has an idea of where they want to go, what things they want to work on. First it was CMDB, then it was catalog, now it's going to be SLA and other things as they come up. Great. Typically it's going to be cost reduction, increased customer satisfaction. Then you do the analysis. A part of it is manual, just good old reporting and next generation reporting to understand the data, the patterns. So in some clients, you've got this huge preponderance of email originated tickets. In others, it's phone. Others have an interesting mix of walk up, or there's already doing some self-service portal stuff. Great. Then you bring in the Now Intelligence solutions in the machine learning stack so that you can dig further in and identify where your ripest fruit is for picking. Where are your biggest opportunities for applying this technology so you can get the biggest return on investment? Now, you'll generate improvement cases. So for instance, one just almost universal improvement case is to automate the assignment and the categorization of incidents. It's almost universal. It uses the similarity solution within the machine learning stack. But as I said, there are other components in Now Intelligence. So an ideal situation here is that you're using predictive intelligence. The similarity solution is within predictive intelligence. You're using continuous improvement module. Continuous improvement module, fascinating little module. Think of it as a project management tool. It's actually a derivative of PPM, but it's been optimized for continuous improvement initiatives. And it helps you track each initiative, see who needs to be assigned tasks. But the important thing, and we're going to talk about it in a moment, Mitch will speak about his next generation reporting from VividCharts, is the monitoring part, because continuous improvement module is critical for you to monitor your continuous improvement initiatives. And then, of course, you can also implement virtual agent. And then the final section is the analysis. It's the monitoring. It's what enables you to see, hey, is this thing really behaving the way it should? Is it performing the way it should? Number one. Number two, is it showing us additional opportunities for improvement? And that's where the analytics comes in. Not only performance analytics, but VividCharts, which is a great opportunity here and point to hand it over to Mitch.
Yeah, thanks, Pedro. Thanks, Sue. And I think I'll kind of take a step back here and not talk so much to the bullet points, but when you think about everything you're doing in ServiceNow and the Now Intelligence as well, it's really around automating and making your organization more efficient and really making your day-to-day more efficient. And a story I like to share sometimes, which a lot of people probably already know, but have maybe not put it all together, is, before, let's just say PowerPoint came around sometime in the 80s, people would do their reporting literally on paper slides and they'd put them into a slide projector. And this would take, days, like literally days to build these out. And it was really error prone. It was really time consuming. If there was something wrong with one of the reports you put together, you got to go redo it manually. So PowerPoint came out and made life a little bit better for a little bit, but then the cloud came around and all these digital efforts that all of you are going through every day just really exploded the volume of data. And you're doing all sorts of things with automating, that's probably why you bought ServiceNow, I'm sure, in the first place. But what has happened with this data just really exploding is we're going back to reporting being really time consuming, really manual, and really error prone, and ultimately really cost inefficient. It's literally taking days for people. And I'm sure most of you on the call here and most of you who are going to be watching this recording probably feel that pain a little bit too, because now the table stakes are raised. Like, this is what your organization is doing, and you're being tasked with the same types of reports. But, a lot of the tools that you're using to get there haven't caught up to the amount of data that you have today. So you're finding yourself pulling data out of ServiceNow into Excel, manually reporting on that Excel data, dropping it into a PowerPoint slide deck, distributing that to your teammates. And if changes come around, you got to go back to the drawing board, redo it. So while it's, technically on a computer, it's still very manual and very inefficient. And if you just kind of be selfish for a minute and think about that and think about how you're doing that on a daily basis, it's typically more a periodic thing. You're probably doing it, once or twice a month, but it's probably a real pain in the butt. And selfishly, like, that is not likely why you took the position in the career you're in. You didn't want to be putting these PowerPoint decks together. You didn't want to be living in Excel. And I apologize if any of you on here do enjoy doing that. I know there are some people who do, and I know some people do get hired for that role in particular, but that's not the core job description that you signed up for. So selfishly, I would hope you'd be looking for a better way to handle this data and really take advantage of it, because that's really what it's all about and what you're trying to do here with ServiceNow and Now Intelligence and really your whole digital efforts your organization are going through. And so just to hit on this slide briefly, VividCharts, we really view that data you have in ServiceNow, whether it's just in your tables, performance analytics, whatever that is, we like to take those data sources and give you the components that you need to get those data points and those stories into the right reporting vehicles so that you can really automate this like you're automating everything else and really put you in the driver's seat to kind of give some color to that story. Let the tools do the heavy lifting, and then you can put that human element on it. You kind of think back to that example that Pedro talked about in the beginning with IBM supercomputer and trying to beat the world chess champion. It took a combination of the machines and the people to be able to do so. So that's the approach we like to take here as well. And, one of the ways we really like to do that is we know everybody's very familiar with certain tool sets like PowerPoint, for example. And so we try to create those experiences in VividCharts directly in ServiceNow. So you could really skip the whole step of taking things out. So we like to give you a blank slate. We've got this feature called Slate, which is pretty much like a PowerPoint slide editor, except it's directly in ServiceNow. And you could tie it directly to your data sources. So you just set it up once, you get a presentation quality report or slide deck directly in ServiceNow. And automatically, VividCharts is going to take care of getting the data that your organization is creating and putting it into a format that is ready to take to your leadership and give that presentation right off the bat. So that's really what we're going after. We really believe that reporting should never slow you down. It should really make your life better and simpler and give you time back to do what you're actually passionate about doing.
Excellent, Mitch. Appreciate that. So next generation reporting, VividCharts. Want to share with you just something. Answering those 3 questions that we talked about is a lot easier than you think. As we wrap up, I want to invite those of you that would like to have a chat. We can do a free assessment of your data and give you some ideas of what are the most potential impact that you can have depending on the avenue that you take implementing Now Intelligence. And likewise, VividCharts can help you get a feel for the kind of experience and value add that you can bring to your organization by using their next generation reporting tool. Now, that said, I wanted to open it up for some Q&A. There is something there already. It's for Mitch. It's a tough one to answer succinctly. Advantages of VividCharts over Power BI and Tableau kind of tools.
Yeah, we could do it relatively succinctly because it's a pretty common problem we run into. But what I would challenge you with is think about the types of people who are working in ServiceNow and are trying to report on this data. And are they all Power BI and Tableau experts? Because those tools are fantastic. We love them too, but they're probably not experts. And so then what you're often left with is these users are shifting or sending that data to their enterprise BI team, which is out of platform, and they totally lose control of that narrative, of the reports, and you still get that time-consuming and really error-prone effort where, you know, if they put the report together incorrectly, you're kind of out of luck, and you have to go back to them, and so you're probably going to miss deadlines. And along with that, since it's out of platform, you're not going to have that easy tie directly into the data like you would being in platform with VividCharts.
Awesome.
Yeah. Pedro, I'll jump in too,
Yes.
since we're actually a VividChart user, right? I think it's really key. The last point that Mitch made is being in platform, because we like our folks to stay in the tool that they're operating in. And so while they're there, if they're looking for, you know, those trends or those metrics or those key details, we don't want them to have to go to find another link and navigate to another system. VividCharts, it's just a link in the left-hand nav, and they can flip right into it and see what they need to see. So that's really powerful on platform.
All right, awesome. I want to really close it by you highlighting the in-platform. It triggered something. So I want to share with those listeners and attendees, there are some solutions emerging that are hyper-focused on AI and machine learning that are off-platform. And I just want to assure you folks, if you're a pro owner, enterprise owner, you already have everything that those other solutions can offer you in platform. You already paid for them. So before you seriously consider other off-platform solutions, look at what you have that you may not be using yet. Okay, whether you're talking to us or your primary vendor who supports you, explore what you have in Now Intelligence, because ServiceNow has made the investments over the past 18 to 24 months to bring you leading edge AI and machine learning technology that's on platform with all the advantages that carries. All righty. So Sue, thank you so much. We know you're crazy busy. You made time for preparing for this, for being here with us today and sharing your expertise and your insights with our audience. 1,000 thanks. And Mitch, awesome. And Mitch, thanks to you too, as well. Your team, you know, we all collaborated leading up to this, and here we are today. It's awesome. We love your solution. Lots of your clients love it as well. So guys and gals, track down Mitch or anyone in his team. If you want to realize how next generation reporting can be pretty much effortless, you got to talk to them. And if you like to really learn how to get the most out of Now Intelligence, look us up, Westbury Analytics. With that said, wish everybody a great day, great week. Bye-bye now.